So in yesterday's episode, I said that in today's episode, it would be something different. It would be, I'd have an idea for what I would want to talk about. But honestly, what I'm going to talk about today is I already talked about it a little bit in yesterday's episode, but I want to expand on it even more. And it is why my football dream is not over. I am not giving up and I'm not stopping. And I'm far from finished. I'm far from finished when it comes to my attempts and trying to make it as a professional football player. That's the reason why I left Canada in the first place to go to Portugal. And I spent 2 years. I tried. And honestly, it's not over. I've had to spend some time away from the game, but I don't think it's over for me. I think I have a lot left in the tank before I call the quits. And here's why. Here's why I think that. And I'm going to kind of go a little bit more in depth as to why I am not going to quit and why I'm going to keep going and why why I think it's important for me, right? And take whatever you want and I'll try and fit as many lessons as I can for, you the audience, right? So, why I want to keep going. Well, I'll talk to you about, the struggles I had. Earlier this year, right? I went through the season and I went through the difficulty. I had some of my worst moments and then I had some of my best moments. And then I had some time that I wasn't playing games because the season ended early. And I was just training for my professional trial in Spain, which happened in August. But while I was training, I was asking myself these questions. I was like, do I really want to keep going? If I don't make it, do I really want to keep going? Am I really willing to keep going? But I pushed through. I kept training hard. I kept having a good time. And then, in Spain was the greatest moment. I played some of the best football, had some of the greatest memories. It was really 2 absolutely amazing weeks. And, I'll cherish those for the rest of my life. Even if I didn't make it, it was still such an amazing experience. But then I came back, right? I kind of made the decision to come back to Canada because, I think, it's a good decision. I didn't want to spend another season in the lower leagues in Portugal. So I think I think it was a good decision to say, okay, let me just come back here and reset, regroup, and find something else. So then, I started training with this team that was here, a little bit lower level, but higher level than where I was at when I was in Canada before, but lower level in comparison to, some of the teams I've just been on trial with in Europe. But I trained there for a bit. And while I was training there, I was asking myself the same type of questions. I was enjoying the practices, I was having a good time, but I was really out there like, do I really want to keep going? Am I really mentally up for another season, another tough season, mentally draining season like the one I had the previous year? And, I'm asking myself these questions. I'm talking to my own family members about it, and they're just confirming my beliefs because obviously it's like, they don't want me to go and do it. They would love for me to just stop and go to school and do the standard path or whatever. They would love that for me, but I have, different ideas. But that's neither here nor there. Point is that I went through that and I couldn't really find the answers. I was kind of leaning towards a no. I'm gonna be honest. When I started this show, maybe some of my rhetoric was, "Oh, I have to prepare for a life without football," right? I was kind of in that mindset, like in the earlier parts of this show, and I was still looking for a job. Now I've worked my door-to-door job, and I've really seen the difficulty in that. And it's taken having to go through that for me to realize that no, I don't want to stop. I'm not ready to throw in the towel just yet. And that's because, well, I think I just literally just needed a break. Like, I just needed a break. Like, honestly, my legs are a little bit weaker. Like, I literally look at my legs and I think they're not as bulky as they were because, I haven't actually been strength training them consistently. I'm going to obviously get back into that, of course, now that I have more time. But the point is, that kind of illustrates the fact that I have not really been working out and training at the same level that I was during the normal season or in preparation for the trial. So that little break and that little step back, that little moment to reflect and think for a bit and go through the difficulty of the door-to-door job, which is, kind of what I'd have to deal with if I chose to just stop football entirely. I'd have to, probably stay in that role or some type of a grueling job like that. So then I decide, you know what? The more I think about it, the more I analyze what I've been through, I think it makes a lot of sense for me to keep going. Like, I'm literally just going to get the money I made from my job and put it directly back into funding another trip at some point in the near future to go and do another trial. Right? You could say that's bad financial advice. You can say that, oh, you should go and invest that money you've made. But I'm not gonna, because money comes and money goes, and I'll make money back. I'll make it back in some way, shape, or form. So, like, it's better to fund my dreams and fund something that, I'm not ready to give up just yet than just like let it sit in some savings account and maybe double in 7 years, right? It doubles in 7 years. Every 7 years it compounds, right? If you know how that works, right? But it's just like, I don't want to do that. I don't think I'm down for that, man. I think if I really look at the grand scheme of my life, where I want to go, I think I'm so far from finished, it's insane. I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to put that money that I've made here directly back into going back to Europe and making, something happen. In an ideal world, I would have liked to have a bit more money. Like, I would have had to have a bit more saved up, but it's just because it took so long for me to actually find any type of job in the first place that I wasn't able to save up like 7, 8 thousand, but I still have enough where I could go to Europe and probably still even have a little bit left over. The point here is that I'm going to do that. And I think after going through that time where I've been away from the sport, where I've kind of taken a step back, where I'm doing other things and other things are stressing me out, I kind of, sit back and reflect for a second, and I'm like, you know what? Like, there's just no way I'm done, right? There's no way I should just throw in the towel right now. You only get one life. So I might as well keep going until the very end, until it absolutely is not like possible at all. But even with the tiny little realm of possibility, which still exists, it hasn't gone away just because I'm a year older or a couple years older. It hasn't gone away. So that means that I can and should keep going to make the most of my time here. I don't know what God's plan is for me, but I think in terms of what I've seen, what I've experienced, that it would be a good idea to keep going, even if God is going to use this as a test for me, or he's going to, I'm not going to make it and it's going to be something where I can learn from. It's still something better than just, either continuing in this grueling door-to-door job, which I was working at, where like I couldn't imagine another few months doing it, especially in the coldest winter, and or having to like actually go to school and just kind of, accept that I'm just going to go work an office job the rest of my life, right? I don't want to do that. I'm far from that point. And realizing that I'm super far away from that point, I actually had to go in there, get my hands dirty in a job that I didn't like, to be able to realize that I am far from that point where I am just going to give up. I'm not going to do that just yet. So I've made this episode to be a little bit more specific in the things that I was dealing with. And I think it's important. In any single goal, any single pursuit, any single dream that you're trying to go towards, you'll reach that point eventually where it kind of burns out a bit. I read some books, right, during the last couple of years. Like, I don't really read books anymore, but when I was still, trying to learn and grow and grasp some things in life, like, I hardcore read a lot of books. And I read the book called The Art of Impossible. And in that book, I specifically remember a thing where he talked about how you need to make sure that your dream is an actual dream rather than just something that you use to spend your time, and then 2 years, and then for 2 years, and then 2 years later, after 2 years of going, you burn out, and then you actually, the fire's gone, right? And it actually wasn't anything you wanted to dedicate your life to. So that question came up in my mind a lot. I was approaching that 2-year mark, getting a little bit past that 2-year mark. Like, since I moved to Portugal, obviously I wanted to be a pro footballer since I was a kid. But moving to Portugal was the next step, and I increased the level of my training and actually the level of dedication towards actually going and trying to make it. So really, it was like a big pursuit of 2 years. So then I was reaching that point where I was getting that burnout, and I had to answer those questions. Where it was like, okay, was this just a fad? Was it just like a dopamine reaction because I wanted to do this, but I was never actually believing in myself. I never actually thought I'd be able to make it. I don't want to dedicate the next 10 years of my life to this. Or is this, just my brain trying to play tricks on me to make me quit and give up before the breakthrough actually happens? And, I had to answer those questions. And I could not answer those questions until I took some time away. And then, having taken that time away from the sport, I now have the answer. And the answer is an emphatic no. I'm not done, right? An emphatic, it's time to keep going. It's not just a 2-year fad. I'm going to keep this going. And I plan on continuing to strive and continuing to try and make this happen until it's absolutely not possible or until I make it. One of the two. So that's what I'd say. If you're in that moment, you're in that moment where you're approaching that moment of burnout, you've gone through however many time, months, years of something and it hasn't worked out yet, and you're not sure if you actually want to keep going, the temptation of the comfort of the safe route, to go to school and you get a degree and then you get a safe and secure job for $60K a year or whatever, like you go through the secure route, or that comfort of it is always there. That's the thing, right? You can always fall back and go on to that, right? You have to make that decision. Are you going to fall, or are you saying, okay, this is a moment, let's take some time off. Let's take some time where I pursue something else, take my mind completely off the main pursuit for a little bit. For me, it was a month. A month is probably more than enough. Maybe a little bit more if you need, a couple months, but not too long, because you don't want to get so unfit or lose your skills, right? Take a little bit of time off, couple weeks, couple months. And then when the time is right, come back and truly analyze and reflect and be like, okay, do I want to keep going? Do I actually want to keep going? Am I okay with this new thing that I'm going on? Or am I not finished? And most of the time, you'll probably realize that you're not finished. And that break was super necessary for you to get back in and grind even harder and go even stronger and in pursuing your dreams and goals. That's what I've had to deal with, and I'm speaking completely from experience when I tell you these things. I don't speak out of my butt, because this is literally what I've just gone through right now. And, starting this week and going on all the way until the moment where I make it and I have a chance to go back to Europe, I'm going to keep training hard, right? I'm going to keep training hard as I can to get myself as physically fit as possible. Especially, I got to get that strength back in my legs. I got to get that cardio back up to normal levels. It won't take me that long because I didn't take that long off, right? And it's not like I wasn't training either. I made sure to put some training sessions in between, even if the door-to-door job was super grueling and it was hard for me to. I put some. So I'm not unfit. I'm not freaking getting fat, right? I'm losing a bit of muscle mass in my legs. So a month time to train as hard as I can will probably be enough time for me to get back up to the level I was at, because I didn't take so much time off, right? That's a trap you can fall into, right? You're on this pursuit, you take too much time off, and then whatever, you lose something. You lose your skills, you lose your fitness, you kind of lose that coordination that you have to build back up. And the longer you take off, the more you have to build it back up, right? So that's why I say maximum 2 months. Do not go any longer than that, because that will kind of, you'll see that it becomes too hard to get back into it, right? So you have to be very careful, but you should definitely, if you're in that moment of burnout, you have that moment where you're asking those questions, you're trying to find your why, why are you still doing this? Is it worth it? Or is it worth it more to just go and, pursue the standard path, right? Once you can find those, once you, take that break, you will find the answers to those questions, because you'll probably take the break and you'll miss it. You know what I mean? You'll take the break and you'll miss those days. For me, I miss those days, right? I miss that game day feeling, even if it's a bit nervous. I miss that feeling where you're running as hard as you can, your throat feels like sandpaper, that type of thing. I miss those, right? I miss the interactions with teammates and fun times and laughs and funny moments, and every moment where I freaking make a great play or I score a goal. That doesn't happen anywhere near as often anymore, because I'm a center back. But every time that happens, and I'm like, yeah, I do miss it, and I miss the competitiveness of it, the competition aspect of the sport. And it's taken me like I had to get out of it and take a second to be away from it, to realize that yes, I do miss it and it's important to keep it going, right? So when you're in that thing, I would say do the same thing, right? Take some time off. And if you really like don't miss it, like if you really don't feel any of that, fondness, then you can kind of comfortably say that, okay, yeah, it was the right time for me to stop and let's move on to something new, right? But if you do miss it, then you come back after your break and time away from it's over, and come back even stronger, right? With that fire. That's what I plan to do. I'm coming back with the fire. I'm not just going to come back and just kind of meander along and just kind of go about the motions, all this kind of thing. No, I'm coming back with the fire. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to do absolutely all that I can to make this next opportunity as good as it can be, and truly try my hardest and work as hard as I can, be dying of sweat and tiredness at the end of every single training session, every single practice, every single game. And even through nerves, even through tough moments, even through sicknesses, like continue to keep the level high and keep the effort high. I'm not just going to sit here and just walk about. I'm going to go absolutely as hard as I can. I'm going to take a day or two of rest, and then I'm just going to grind, just straight work, train, eat, sleep, repeat, and keep going until the day of my next opportunity. And that's how you have to treat everything. You have to give it your 100% effort. That's even how I treated my door-to-door job. I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it, but I was over here like, you know what? I'm here. I'm not going to just sit here and do nothing. And as a result, that's why I was decently successful at it. I'm not going to sit here and just meander along. I'm going to actually give my all to it, and I did, and I got the rewards from it, right? It paid off. But now that I'm done, now that I've moved on, I am not quitting my football dream. My football dream, it could maybe be absolutely the same type of fondness that you have towards some other dream in your life, whatever it may mean. I'm the guy that's like, you know what? Screw the normal, screw the kind of standard path. If you have this dream, this nagging feeling that you want to go out there, you want to go and make something happen, and you want to actually go and push yourself, you want to challenge yourself, like I believe truly that those feelings are words from God telling you to go out and pursue those things. Go there. Go out and pursue your dreams and goals. Only stop when you know 100% or at least 90% that's not going to be possible, right? For me in football, what does that look like? Age 22, 23, maybe a little older, where I'm like, okay, and I'm still in the same place, then I would probably be humble enough to say, all right, let's move on to something else. But in terms of right now, we're definitely not at that point. So I'm going to keep going and keep giving it my all. So go out there, pursue your dreams. Pursue those things that you really want to do. Screw what everyone else has to say to you, right? Go out there and make the most of your life. God gives us this life, and it's only one life. So instead of just sitting there and accepting normality, accepting mediocrity, go out and do great things. Whatever that may mean in your life, whatever that may look like. If it's an athletic pursuit, great. If it's some other pursuit, amazing. If school is a part of your dream, go, do it. I'm not completely against school. Like, for me in my life, I don't think it makes sense for me. But if school and university and getting that degree, or you want to be a doctor or a lawyer and you need the school and the school is a part of your dream, go and do that as well. I'm not over here saying, oh, F school type of thing. No, go and do it, right? If it's a part of your dream and you know what you want to do, and school's a part of it, go and do it. I absolutely encourage that. It's just that it's not for me. And maybe I'll make an episode in the future about school and about university and about all these things, and I'll talk about it in more depth in the future. But as of right now, focusing just on the dreams. Whatever your dream is, go out and pursue it. Give it your all. And don't give up until it's absolutely like not possible, outside of the realms of possibility. Because, again, read those stories, right? My stories for football, the stories are this. You have guys like Jamie Vardy, who's a player who at 23 years old was working a factory job, right? Or sorry, no, I think at 20 years old, he was working a factory job in non-league. And at 23, he was still in like the 5th division of the English football pyramid. And then he signed, I think he made his debut in the Prem at like 26, maybe 25, 26 years old. Premier League debut, English league, the biggest league in the world. He made his debut at 25, 26 years old. And now he's like 38 or 39, and he has over 100 Premier League goals and a Premier League title because of that crazy season with Leicester City. And he's played in the Champions League. He's played in the biggest competitions, scored in the biggest competitions in the world. And he's had an absolutely amazing career because he didn't give up. He didn't give up when he hit 19, when he hit 20, and he wasn't anywhere near the top. He didn't give up, and he made it. So you look at stories like that. Find those stories with regards to whatever pursuit you're on. Find those stories of people who should have quit, who should not have made it, but because of their perseverance and their persistence, they did. And they did. They defied all the odds. And those stories are the greatest stories. Hopefully, I can be a part of one of those stories one day as well. But even if I'm not, I know that I'm going to do great things in my life. Like, I truly believe that I'm going to make something happen. Whether it's the football or whether it's something else. It's truly down to God's plan. Because I think the way I see it is like, if my football career doesn't work out, then it's a part of God's plan. It was never meant to work out. It was just meant for me to open my eyes, to find him, to develop my faith in Jesus. Because before I went to Portugal, before I went to go and pursue this football dream, I actually didn't have big faith. Like, I didn't really, like, I knew of God, I knew of Jesus, but I never read the Bible. I didn't really care. I never prayed. I didn't, like, one of those lukewarm Christians type of thing that did his sacraments and then just kind of forgot about God, right? So perhaps I look at it like that football was the way for God to reveal himself to me, and then whatever happens in the future happens. Or it is the ultimate goal, or it is the ultimate end result for me in my life. But I have to go and try. I have to go and keep going. I can't just give up right now. And with that in mind, having gone through what I've gone through, that is the conclusion that I've come to. So that's what I would say. That's what I would recommend for each and every one of you in your lives. Go through it, right? You're going to go through it. You're going to have a big dream, a big pursuit. You're going to be on some path, and then things are going to be shaken up. You're going to hit burnout. You're going to have some crazy setbacks, some crazy struggles that make you truly question whether or not you want to keep going on the journey. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a break to take a step back and truly reflect and see if it is actually something that is still a gaping hole in your heart. And if it is, you get back and you go back even stronger with the fire, with the knowledge that you're going to keep going. And that's that. That is basically the blueprint. That is the formula. That is what I am doing. And this is my kind of, self-proclaimed message that I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm not giving up. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make sure to keep, uploading these podcast episodes. And if I'm in Europe and if I do go, I'm going to make more vlog type style things. And I'm going to just kind of talk and update you. Just give daily updates on the days and on the trial, all that stuff. And I'll continue to do that. I'll continue to make sure I have these episodes out in some way. I can make great content even through these other experiences I'm going through. I plan to go through in the future. So that is my message, that I'm not giving up. I spent some time away. I was asking these questions. I didn't really know my why for a little bit. Now I kind of have a little bit more of a foundation, of a fire, that I'm ready to just go out and work as hard as I can. And my ultimate message to all of you is to do the same. In whatever dream, you're only given one life. If you have that dream, go out and do it. Whatever works for you, whatever is best for you. The greatest thing about my job, my door-to-door job, is when I quit, nobody was really angry at me. No one was questioning me. They weren't okay, there was a little bit of it, but it's yeah, I made a lot of money. Things on paper look good for me. So why am I quitting, right? No one really did that much. It really is an ultimate thing that's and that's why I appreciate them. I appreciate the people. It's not the people why I quit my job. But they appreciated that, you want to go out and you want to go achieve your dreams. This thing isn't a part of your dream. That's understandable. Go out there. Go do it. Whatever works best for you. They weren't mad. They weren't angry. We ended on good terms. And that's what I like. I appreciate all of that. So that type of mentality is something that's really true that you should apply to your life as well. Go out and pursue your dreams. Whatever works best for you, whatever is your dream and goal, go and do it. Because I believe also from a spiritual perspective, going and doing it and seeing it through to its absolute end is also what God wants. because God wants you to go out and try those things and make the most of your life, because regardless of what way it goes, God is going to use it to better you, to increase your faith, to make you a better person, to make you a more generous person, teach you the virtues just through your experiences. So whether or not it's a success, if it's a success, amazing, right? But if it's not a success, it's a test, right? If it's not a success, it's a failure, it's a test. And regardless, there's some sort of lesson in there that would have made the entire pursuit worth it, even if it doesn't actually work out. So that is why pursuing your dreams and goals is something that is absolutely crucial. Me in my life, I'm proclaiming that I am going to keep on doing it. So if there were any doubts, any issues, I've squashed all of them today. And well, I'm going to keep on going. You guys keep on going as well. Keep strengthening your faith in God, because God will grant you the strength to keep going even further, to keep pushing even harder. Go through difficult experiences, go through struggles, because it's truly in those moments where you're pushed to your edge, that the ultimate answers of life are truly found. So that is what I have to say with regards to that. I am not going to give up despite the feelings that I had in the past. I'm not done. And I'm going to keep going until I absolutely see it through to the very end.